Genesis days represent a chronological order of 7. Each day represents a set of events in Genesis. It does not represent Earth's rotational days. To communicate with his creations and to keep the covenant on the Sabbath, God uses what they know and understand. 7 Earth workdays. God creates light life in his dark abyss. Now the earth was formless and empty, and darkness covered all. The Spirit of God hovered alone. Wanting for something more, God commanded the code of life. Let there be light, and there was light. God created light throughout the vastness of space and time, an ever-expanding expanse of light life within the darkness. God said, "May my people never be without, as long as they follow my path." This light is the essence of God, for it is his own energy that produces what we call stars. God becomes enamored with Mother Nature. As God created the light of the universe, he realized that he had created more than just the light. God had created a new spirit, the most powerful spirit in the universe, Mother Nature. All the stars began to move and rotate. Forces began to form, and the stars came to life. They began to erupt, and these eruptions created many different atoms of hydrogen, helium, lithium, beryllium, boron, carbon, nitrogen, oxygen, up the periodic table to iron, and within the cold of darkness, beyond iron to heavy metals used to store energy. Creation of earth and the destruction of the beasts. God was enamored with this force of nature within his creation. He was overwhelmed by this spirit's ability to use forces to immobilize and to expedite new creations from God's own creations. The code was all there, written by God for the growth of all this new matter. But he never imagined the wonder of this new spirit, for like him, it was everywhere at once. Mother Nature was always working, combining and separating everywhere at once, forming new matter from the life energy. This is the day that would lead to the birth of mankind, for God was so enamored with this spirit, so powerful like himself, not in creation, but in reforming and reorganizing creation into new forms. God wanted a way to communicate with this new spirit. The dark abyss was now full of light and all kinds of matter taking shape, but God still felt alone inside, as he did when the abyss was completely dark. He also felt a strong connection to Mother Nature. He wanted to find a way to communicate with her. He could feel her there at work everywhere, in awe and fascination of his own creation. There must be a way to communicate to this spirit. Mother Nature was busy aligning new galaxies and star systems, which God came to realize was creating places where future biological life could survive. He focused strongly on a third planet from a sun, which we call Earth. In hopes of finding a way to communicate with his creations, especially Mother Nature, God wrote new code that would allow the growth of biological life forms composed of what we call DNA. Mother Nature then took over, mixing these new strands of capable life. All types of biological life began to spring up on Earth. Unfortunately, despite a long day of trying, God still could not communicate with Mother Nature. On day 3, the same day biological life formed on Earth, God commanded the destruction of the beasts devouring the land. He moved a large asteroid into Mother Nature's path, which then impacted Earth. All the large animals were exterminated, making room for the new creation called mankind. The first 2 communicable spirits are placed in Eden. Mankind was more beast than a communicable spirit for God. Frustrated, God separates an Eden paradise from the rest of mankind. He places 2 humans, born with a part of his own spirit, within Eden, hoping they would listen to and understand him. One, we call man, was made in his own image, and the other, woman, in the image he perceived would suit the Mother of Nature. The 2 humans had the reproductive capability of the other beasts of the world, but with the ability to pass on the Spirit of God for communion, learning, and hopefully communication with the Spirit of Mother Nature. Eden was a paradise compared to the rest of the world, and God created a test to verify whether Adam and Eve, we call them, could understand and follow his commands of teaching. If they failed the test, Eden would fall. It wasn't important if they failed. What was important was whether God could communicate with them or whether they showed some form of understanding. Thus, God told them, "Never eat the fruit from the sacred tree." Even though they were tempted by a serpent beast that somehow entered Eden, God noticed Eve's hesitation, showing understanding of his commands, but Eden fell. This was the first day of communication. Adam and Eve are expelled from Eden. God expelled Adam and Eve from Eden because they broke his covenant with them. The beasts overtake the once beautiful garden. God creates a new covenant with Adam and Eve. God tells them, "Flee now and remember this. Go forth amongst the beasts of this land. Build your family, but remember my words. If you listen and do as I say, I will provide you a new promised land. Be fruitful and multiply. Teach your children to follow our covenant and to listen to my word. Now go." The conundrum. Fear not, my children, for I have angered your mother. Her anger is not focused on you, but me. Remember to listen to me, not the beasts, for I will keep you safe. Before God turned Eden into a barren land, on which no beasts could permanently survive, he studied the beasts there, especially the serpent who convinced his children to disobey him. He discovered that Mother Nature was somehow communicating with the beasts. Even God could not do this. So how was she doing it? He realized she wasn't communicating with them, but through them. Now God contemplated this for some time, and he realized that he must have angered her when he exterminated the large beasts of the land. He did not take into consideration her connection to the beasts of the land, for he was their father, but she was their mother. God began to write the laws for his people to keep them safe and in communion with him. It was on day 6 when God gave his first commandment to Adam and Eve and their many sons and daughters. He commanded with strict authority, "You shall have no other gods before me, for I am a jealous God." God wanted to add fear, because he knew Mother Nature could tempt and turn his children by talking through beasts, and maybe she could even be able to talk through his children if he didn't keep them protected and in communion. To keep them protected, God would add several more commandments to this one further down his people's line of ancestry. Rest on the 7th day. This day will be for our covenant. Work for 6 cycles, completing your worldly labors, learning and raising your children. But on the 7th day, my children must rest. I will use this day to keep communion with our covenant. I will preach to you through my disciples who possess the learning to communicate with me. Those who have a clean spirit, such as the young, I will also communicate with, for they have not fallen into temptation, and they can hear me with a clear conscience. Furthermore, use this day for fasting. If one must do more than drink non-intoxicating drinks, do not partake of food prepared from beasts. Also, do not eat anything from under the earth or ocean, or one can fall into temptation which would corrupt my teachings. Only eat fruit and vegetables that hang from stalks or trees above the ground. This is the day for rest and communion with your God.